episode of It's Those Guys Game Reviews. I am Nick Silveranato and this is
Connor Jagger.
And today's game reviewing is Tales of Xillia for the PS3.
You mean Xillia for the PS3?
Xillia?
Yeah, Xillia.
That's ridiculous. It's not like it's called an Xylophone or Xenoblade.
Oh, and that's definitely better than Smen.
Xmen? What's Xmen?
X-Men!
Oh, that's different because there's a hyphen in it. You know, X-Men. It's not X-Illia. Hey!
Let's get on with the review.
Yeah, okay. Namco brings another entry into the Tales series to the PS3 with Xillia.
Xillia.
Whatever. This game has a unique feature of being able to pick your main character at the beginning, offering two completely different looks at the story. While most of the story does sync up, there are certain parts where the story is looked at from different perspectives when the characters are separated.
The story starts when Mila Maxwell, the Lord of Spirits, senses a disturbance from the spirits that inhabit the world. They happen to be dying. So she sets out to find the source of this problem. Meanwhile, Jude is helping his teacher, or something, at his medical office. That's right, people. You play as a doctor.
Or a big titty chick.
Shut up and wait your turn. Jude's professor goes missing, so he decides to put on his dress and go look for him. I mean, seriously, look at that. What is he wearing? What else would you expect the main protagonist of a Tales game to wear?
I don't know, they usually wear some pretty good clothing. I don't know. This guy with his tail butler thing, it does look kind of like a dress.
Looks as bad as Asbel.
Asbel what is bad? Asbel is actually better. He had that like ice cream man suit going on.
Ice cream man suit.
In doing so, he runs into Mila, who has tracked the source to the town of Fenmont and the lab there. As the two enter, Jude finds out that people are being put into machines and having their mana drained from them, killing them in the process. After the two of them fight some crazy crack-headed shit, they find the machine called the Lance of Kresnik, which drains mana from people and spirits. The machine sucks up the four spirit guardians, leaving Mila in a weakened state. After the two leave the lab, they're confronted by the Fenmont soldiers as they attempt to arrest them. The two are saved by a mysterious man named Alvin, the typical guy who knows more than he lets on for most of the game, is much more involved in what's happening than he reveals. You should know the type by now. There's one in every Tales game. Actually, I think there's one in every JRPG, but that's an argument for another time. That and there's usually a traitor somewhere in there. Yeah.
The three set off together to Niakara so Mila can try to regain the spirits and set out to destroy the Lance of Kresnik. Jude decided to go with her in hopes of getting he can help people, and Alvin goes with them in hopes of a threesome.
Would you just?
Fine, because he says he's a mercenary traveling with them for work.
The battle system is standard Tales fare with up to 4 fires on the screen at one time. The new battle feature here is the linking ability. Here, you can link two characters together which can double attack enemies and to cause different battle strategies, as well as share HP and TP. Also, spells such as healing or buffs can be used for both characters. This is a nifty little trick, because if one or both of the characters gets poisoned, or any other type of status effect, healing them will affect both, saving TP and items depending on how you decide to heal. Linking also causes a little gauge on the side to fill up, and you only really have that gauge when you're linked. For some reason you can't access it when you're not linked to anybody. Or if you can, I totally missed how to do it. But yeah, you can go ahead, after you fill it up, you can go to over limit, so which characters who are linked can do multiple link arts together, and eventually later on you do the when you're in the over limit, you can do the mystic arts. Is that what they're called?
Yeah.
You know, the big thing where you get the character on the screen, and he does a super attack. He's like blah 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 blah, and they'll go flying, and then you're fighting a boss. You find out you barely did any fucking damage to it and stuff like that. Speaking of boss fights, I don't think the fights in the game are all that difficult. I didn't really die as much in this Tales game as I usually do others. But the problem I had with a lot of boss fights is, and I don't know, maybe I never noticed this in other Tales games before, but I definitely noticed in this one, was the fact that the bosses just spam the same move over and over, and I'm like, what the fuck? Also, something that bugged me about it is, and you know, this is actually something that bugged me in every Tales game. It's not just this one specifically. But when you're fighting an enemy, mostly a boss, and you're beating the crap out of this thing, and it's still doing moves and hitting you, and there are characters around you still doing nothing, and you barely phase it, and then it barely flicks you, and you're like all dizzy. It's like, it's like they do this in every Tales game. It's not just this one.
They also have the boss who uses a Mystic Art in the middle of a combo.
That is also true, but at least in this one, you can tell when they're about to use Mystic Art, just like run around the circle until they like burn out. As long as they don't hit anybody, they don't do the Mystic Art. But it's like, why Tales games do you always do this with your fighting boss fights. I mean, jeez. You barely interrupt them. You do sometimes, not all the time. But it's like, they barely touch you. All your characters are all dizzy or whatever. It's like, why? One other thing that bugged me about it is sometimes I'd be beating up on an enemy, and then for whatever reason, my characters trail off and keep doing his moves while the monster is just like going away, and I'd be facing, say I'm facing the enemy, and I go to punch, all of a sudden I'm turning around facing this one, I'm like, I didn't push anything. Why is it going the opposite direction?
Were you linked to anyone when you did that? Because that can happen.
I don't think that had anything to do with it. I mean, I think there were times, I don't know, I think there were times where I wasn't linked, I was doing it anyway. I was sitting there trying to fight enemies, and all of a sudden, like, I'm like going off the course, even though I didn't push a corresponding button. I don't know, one of my complaints, but like I said, Tales series overall, not just this game.
Also, another feature in the battle is the ability to switch out characters in the middle of the battle. By holding down R3, you can switch out characters from one others in reserve to customize your battle. This becomes handy if you need to bring out characters who can help do mass healing or might be helpful in damaging enemies you face for better exploiting their weaknesses. As far as I can tell, this is a new feature of the Tales series. But if it's in other series and I missed it, feel free to let me know.
The only downside about that is when one of the characters is, if a character's unconscious, you can't switch them out. You're pretty much stuck with that character sitting there taking up space until you revive them to switch them. Yeah, it's kind of annoying. It'd be nice if, like, you know, the character's knocked out, okay, let me just switch in the new one real quick. But if a character's unconscious, they can't switch out, and there's that.
Another feature is the Lilium Orb. This is basically your stat boost and leveling up system. As you level up, you obtain GP. Using the GP gives you stat boosts from more HP and TP to higher defense, magic skills, skill points, and strength, as well as obtaining and learning more art. The more you expand the orb, the more skills and abilities you have. This, in my opinion, can break the game, especially if you overlevel. Keep expanding your character's Lilium Orb, and you might find yourself barely consuming any TP, no matter how many times you use arts in battle. This gets even better if you can link certain characters together and causing their HP and TP to increase the linking. If you ask me, the Lilium Orb kind of reminds me of the Crystarium gauge in Final Fantasy 13. Only difference being that I can actually understand the Lilium Orb.
You feel right now that you got that out?
Also, they both expand your stats and stuff, but at least in this game, in Tales of Xillia, I actually feel like I'm being rewarded. I actually feel the improvements. Like they mattered.
I'm gonna have to take your word on that because I never played Final Fantasy 13, and
Be glad you didn't.
He did. Beat himself up about it ever since.
You can also assign skills to each character. The more skills you can add, the stronger the character can be, adding anywhere from HP and TP to resistance to basically every element the game can throw at you.
However, the game does have one of the most pointless and unneeded features, and that's the shop leveling up system. As you travel the world, you collect various materials to which you donate to shops. This causes the shops to level up and get more stuff. Things like weapons, armor, and items won't appear in shops until you level them up. Stuff gets discounted as you level up the shops. But by the time they do, you're already way past them and in need of new stuff, which you're buying at full price anyway. The only time this seems at all helpful is when the items in the item shop get discounted. But even then, you only need a few things from them to get by in battles. The game is fun to play and has enough plot to keep you interested, but at times it seems rushed and situations get resolved pretty fast. Plus, the whole overworld seems kind of small, leaving for very little explanation. If you look around enough though, you might find small caves you can crawl into, but all you really find in them is just more donation material for shops. The game also hints to various backstories for the characters, but they don't really explore them much and seem to leave things open-ended or lead to a dead end. It's nothing that ruins the game, but it seems like a lot of the revelations leaves you with that meh feeling. Probably doesn't help that the plot can be predictable as hell, but when isn't the plot predictable in a Tales game?
Speaking of plot, though, I was doing some reading. Apparently, some of the stuff that's talked about in the first game, they're not going to. They're actually going to continue it in the sequel,
Tales of Xillia 2, which is set to come out next year.
You find out things. I hope so, because I'm sitting there for, like, if they didn't say the whole story here, because apparently the stuff they allude to in this game is really not anything they're going to talk about until the next game, which I know a lot of people who already played this game in Japan and probably aren't even watching this video already know what happens. So don't tell us, because no spoilers, please.
You can tell me though. I
Don't tell him. You will be surprised like the rest of us.
If you enjoy Tales games, Xillia,
Xillia.
no, be quiet, is not one to be missed. Despite some of my grievances, it does provide you with an entertaining JRPG experience.
So basically, this Tales game is very much like every other Tales game. You start off in this village or town, you end up following this guy on a big journey that leads to many, many more revelations that you pretty much already see coming once you get to those points. It's not really anything new. The only thing new about this game is pretty much the characters and the way they do the battle systems.
The characters even fulfill the roles like you would in another Tales game. One thing that really bugged me in a lot of the Tales games, not really bugged me, but it seems like there's also a staple that the main character's father is just some massive prick. Do you ever notice that? It's like the main character's, the mom is like, oh honey, are you okay? And the dad is just like a fucking douchebag who like beats his son or whatever. What is this?
Son.
They slap. There's at least one slap from father to son per game. I swear. I mean, I remember playing
Symphonia?
Not Symphonia. Oh, Symphonia. Yeah, like he tried to punch Lloyd, and he's like, "Why are you trying to hit me?" And then I think in the last game, Grace's like at one point the dad slaps the kid. In this game, there's one point where the dad. It's like, what is this? What is this child abuse that the Tales series seem to be incorporating into their games? Does anybody else notice this? Is it just me?
Well, then again, Tales protagonists generally tend to be around between the ages of 16 and 18.
Still, I mean, where are they getting the motivation? Like, oh, my dad. No wonder they're leaving home for great adventures. Father is beating them. Dude, what the hell? This is sad.
Are they trying to pass it off as a dose of reality?
I don't know. I mean,
actually, the dose of reality doesn't come until like halfway through the game. Though.
Hell, it's a Japanese game. Do Japanese parents beat the crap out of their kids all the time? I don't know. I'm just trying to figure this one out.
But we're not going to go into that.
15, 16-year-old guy who apparently his dad hates him, his mom likes him, but his dad hates him, and he's beating the crap out of him, and it's just...
Where's that epic moment in Tales game where the mother just pulls out a sword on the dad for slapping the kids? Like, fuck.
Why can't the kid just even in Tales of Symphonia 2, like the main character's adopted parents like hated him too, and it's like, oh, my parents, everybody hates me. I was like, oh my god, you're not having this emo tortured kid crap and just make a upbeat, happy character who.
That's just how Tales games work.
Maybe he wants to avenge his father. I don't know. His father got killed, so he's gonna avenge it. But the father's always a dick.
Unless it's Tales of the Abyss where the main character's a dick and the parents are just whatever.
Let me start on Luke Fun. Fuck that guy. I hate Luke Fun. Worst Tales character ever.
His voice actor was alright. Yuri Lowenthal.
It doesn't matter. The character itself was just horrible. Please don't make the character like that ever again.
Well, they did that in Soul Calibur 5. Remember that guy?
Soul Calibur 5. Maybe I got rid of that thing. I couldn't play that game anymore. But anyway, overall game, like I say, if it's predictable and you know what's going to happen, and they don't really reveal a lot, and you know, if you want to see the rest of the story, you pretty much have to get the sequel. But it was still pretty interesting. Kind of weird they only have 6 characters this time instead of 8. I mean, they usually have 8, but
Abyss had 6. They usually have 6. Tales of Vesperia had 7. The Japanese version of Vesperia had 8.
I was wondering if they'd ever do like an odd number character like 7. Well, I think in Symphonia you can actually have up to 9.
I don't think so.
No, if you do it right, you can have both. I know you can either have Kratos in place of Zelos, but I think there's a way you can actually have all nine characters in like that without any being replaced by the other one. But anyway, like I said,
there is. Leave it in the comments.
Pretty decent. You know, it's gonna be like a paragraph long. You know, it's a really complicated way to do it. I know you can do it, but it's got to be complicated. But anyway, can we get to the rating part of this?
Game Shark.
Can we get to the rating part, please?
B plus.
I will give it a B. It's a pretty good Tales game,
but it's pretty much like every other Tales game, one way or the other.
Nothing you haven't seen before, but you know it's still fun. You're gonna enjoy it, unless you like really hate JRPGs in the game and all. I just hope that games like this don't go away, and those of us who still like the whole JRPG still get that experience, and just have fun with it. So there you go. This has been another episode of It's Those Guys Game Reviews. We will see you next time, and you'll see him too. Actually, we won't see. I think I've been there before. You know what? We'll see you guys later. Rate, comment, subscribe.